the Honourable Melfield Nicholas of Antigua and Barbuda, the Honourable Davidson Ishmael, Barbados, the Honourable Michelle Shabat of Belize, the Honourable Shakira Lockhart Hippolyte of Dominica, the Honourable Lennox Andrews of Grenada, the Honourable Conrus Maynard, St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honourable Curtis King, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honourable Albert Jubitana of Suriname, Mr. Rodney Taylor, Secretary General and staff of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, Mr. Robert Hunte, Executive Director for the Caribbean Country Department of the IDB, Mr. Tariq Ali, General Manager, Caribbean Country Department, Ms. Karina Coburn, Representative, and other officials of the Trinidad and Tobago Country Office of the IDB, senior government officials of Trinidad and Tobago and participating Caribbean countries, esteemed members of the business community, academia, and civil society, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the Hyatt Regency Trinidad and to the first day of Digital Leadership in the Caribbean. I have the distinct honor of guiding you through the proceedings for today and tomorrow. I am Wendell Constantine. However, without further ado, we invite to deliver opening remarks as part of our opening ceremony, which is being covered by the media this morning, the Secretary General of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. Will you please welcome Mr. Rodney Taylor?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who are students of the Bible, you will know that I'm really just like John the Baptist this morning, preparing the way for those speakers who are to come. And so my role is really just to extend a warm welcome to you on behalf of the CTU Secretariat. We're very pleased to have you here. Thank you for your time. We know that many of you had great difficulty in getting here, because regional travel is not what it used to be. But we are pleased that you were able to make the effort to be here. So I see some of my good colleagues. I won't start calling names, but a minister from Barbados, my colleagues. Of course, I worked for many years with the government of Barbados before taking this job. Many of you have not seen since Bucharest. Some we have not seen since Bahamas with our ICT week, but it is always good to have our ministers come together. As the saying goes, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And so as much as we're all in our respective roles working on national digital transformation, ICT development, digital identities, ICT infrastructure, I'm really pleased that we're able to partner with the IDB in hosting this meeting today, because we really would love to see some regional projects. Digital identities, for example, is something we spoke about. The ability to have interoperability so that as you move from country to country within this single ICT space, that we are able to have that synergy. And so I'm pleased with the format of the meeting. There are some policy briefs that were distributed. We hope you've had the opportunity to look at that. And we want that this meeting, at the end of it, we have some concrete deliverables in at least 4 of those policy areas. And so I look forward to being a part of the discussions here with you, and I really beg your indulgence as we discuss, and your commitment that as we leave here, that we do have some concrete deliverables. So once again, welcome on behalf of the CTU, and I look forward to a productive day. And I would also wish to remind you that tomorrow afternoon, this session moves over to the CTU Secretariat. And I'm pleased to welcome our ministers there as well, because for some of you, or most of you, it'll be the first time visiting the Secretariat, so we look forward to having you here. So again, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rodney Taylor, Secretary General of the CTU. Also delivering remarks at this opening ceremony, ladies and gentlemen, is the Executive Director for the Caribbean Country Department of the Inter-American Development Bank. Will you please welcome Mr. Robert Hunte.
Good morning, all protocols observed. A hearty good morning, Trinidad and Tobago welcome, and good morning to all present. It is indeed an honor to be here with an inspiring lineup of the Caribbean leaders to launch what I hope to be the first of many sessions of dialogue and interaction. There are several things that we can do collaboratively which would allow us to leverage our collective strengths, learn from our collective experiences, including our pitfalls, and realize exponential gains from economies of scale. The president of the IDB is a formidable advocate for regional initiatives, which is also an approach that I continue to lobby for in my capacity as Executive Director for the Caribbean member states at the IDB. Clean energy initiatives, for example, the transition to renewables is where the world is heading. And while this shift is daunting for many of us who have either industries and systems rooted in fossil fuels, we also recognize that the transition is inevitable and there is a lot that we can do to propel us forward at a faster rate. Similarly, we face the same inevitability with digital transformation and digital disruption. Much like the shift to renewables, it requires a delicate balance between, and a balancing act between optimization, using technology to do things better, and disruption, using technology to do things differently. The politicians and the policymakers have the most difficult job of all, because they must manage the balance between the global push for transition and the pull for maintaining the status quo and staying within the comfort zone. And for those of you who know me well, I have some first-hand experience in that in a past life. Therefore, as we work within our individual country systems to strike that balance and move forward, these interactions are going to be instrumental in shaping a more inclusive digital transformation. Success in this transition will require dialogue and strategic alliances among governments, agencies, private sector, and civil society to deliver an ambitious vision. Your presence here today demonstrates your commitment to expanding and strengthening the community of partners, which will have a key role in leading the digital transformation process. The IDB is all about improving the lives of people of the Latin America and Caribbean region. The commitment of the IDB to the development of the Caribbean region and to improving the lives of the people of the region is strong and unwavering. I know that the IDB group has the expertise both on the sovereign side and the private side via the IDB Invest and IDB Lab, and is the ideal institution to catalyze this process. I always fully support forums like these, where there is a coming together of people in the field to find innovative solutions to our common challenges. Over my 30 years experience in both the private and public sector, and that is now going up a little bit, probably I should change that to 35. I can tell you that the best solution for our common problems comes from effective collaboration. I applaud the efforts of the IDB, the Ministry of Digital Transformation, under the distinct leadership of Minister Bacchus, and the CTU for coordinating this dialogue and encouraging all of us to keep the collaboration going. Our region has before it tremendous challenges: food security, climate change, rising poverty levels, just to name a few. Going forward, improving the efficiency of government and allowing us to better reach the citizens who really need our help, a challenge that was very evident during the recently concluded pandemic, are just two critical pillars that we must overcome. The advancement in technology has now made this problem within our reach to solve. Let's confront the challenges ahead and move swiftly together to prepare a brighter future, not only for ourselves, but also for our children and our children's children. I thank you, and I wish all of you a very successful conference in this important and challenging time for the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Mr. Robert Hunte, Executive Director for the Caribbean Country Department of the Inter-American Development Bank. Thank you, sir. Welcome home. Ladies and gentlemen, the opening address for the Digital Leadership in the Caribbean Conference will be delivered by the Minister of Digital Transformation of Trinidad and Tobago. Senator the Honourable Hassel Larry Bacchus was appointed as the Minister of Digital Transformation in July of 2021, having served previously as Minister in the Ministry of Public Administration and Digital Transformation from August of 2020. He's the holder of an AAS in Electronics Engineering Technology from the University of the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., and holds certifications in leadership development and project management. Minister Bacchus has had a 30-year professional career in the field of telecommunications. Having begun as a technician, he rose rapidly through the ranks to become Chief Technology Officer of the Telecommunication Services of Trinidad and Tobago. And he's viewed as an experienced leader and visionary in the technology arena, and is often called upon to lend his expertise and insight to advance the development of practitioners in the field. Moreover, he's a son of Tobago and Trinidad. Ladies and gentlemen, to deliver this morning's opening address here at the Digital Leadership in the Caribbean Conference, will you please welcome Senator the Honourable Hassel Bacchus, Minister of Digital Transformation.
Thank you very much. Good morning to all our distinguished leaders, ladies and gentlemen present here today. I really hope your travel was well and everyone is here, everyone looking bright and shiny this morning. And on behalf of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, it is indeed my honor to extend a very warm welcome to the executive session on digital leadership in the Caribbean. Again, please allow me to stand on the protocols already established by our host, and I trust that all deliberations over the next 2 days will be stimulating and lay the foundation for increased collaboration and decisive action in the immediate future. It is also my great pleasure to extend thanks and appreciation to the digital leaders, technocrats, and champions who have contributed to making this regional digital meeting of digital ministers a reality. I must recognize the thought leaders and digital subject matter experts who have contributed their insights, experiences, and expertise for the benefit of the region. And Sima, I'd like to thank you as well for making that long trip to be here with us. We'll hear from him later. These sessions were established by the vision and the willing partnership of the Inter-American Development Bank, and you just heard from him there, the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. They came together as a true coalition of the willing to plan, execute, and resource these sessions. And for that, I really want to express my thanks. And please, if you will, please give them a round of applause for me. And even with that, it still would not have taken place without the active engagement of the conference support team, the CTU, the IDB, the Ministry of Digital Transformation staff, members of the protective services, health services, the Hyatt Regency team members, and of course the unsung heroes who were here till late into the night, I understand, last night, behind the scenes to ensure that everything runs smoothly and seamlessly, and it has been doing so far. So since I became a Minister of Government in 2020, 2 events occurred which impressed upon me the need for urgent and collective action to address the management of digital affairs at a regional level. I want to put a disclaimer on this. I did not do any of this. I had no part in it. The first was on December 2022, December 7th, when the internet service in most of the Southern Caribbean abruptly went down. I wonder how many people remember that when it happened. Effectively, Barbados, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, Trinidad, and Tobago had real serious restrictions in terms of the wider digital community and being access to that for the better part of a day. Listen to this. It appears that the loss of connectivity was caused by the simultaneous occurrence of 3 events. A submarine fiber optic cable got damaged somewhere between Antigua, Barbuda, and Guadeloupe. Another submarine cable between Curaçao and Trinidad and Tobago was damaged. And finally, there was a power outage island-wide in Curaçao. What did that do? Well, effectively, what it did, it created a significant broadband and internet resource restriction in the Southern Caribbean. On their own, none of these events would have crashed or really caused the internet to be that restricted. But collectively, they created a perfect storm that resulted in significant disruption to social life, businesses, government service delivery, and all other things associated with that in the Southern Caribbean. The second incident, and I got calls about this because people believe I had done this deliberately, was on Monday, October 4th, 2021. Some of you may remember that if you're from Trinidad, it was budget day. Very busy day for us here at the ministry, and the budget estimates were being prepared and so on, so everyone was in somewhat of a friendly. But instead of focusing on the MDT's plans and programs for the coming year, I found myself answering a host of questions from parliamentary colleagues, media, friends, all asking about the fact that Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and Instagram Messenger were mostly unavailable. You know, there was the usual Picong in Trinidad thing, where they were saying that the Minister of Digital Transformation had deliberately turned off the internet to the country so that everyone could focus on the Minister of Finance delivering the budget. Again, I state, I did no such thing. The thing is, for about 6 hours, the most popular social media platforms at the time were mainly inaccessible. And of course, that created another disruption because, you know, the social life in Trinidad and Tobago is really tied to those things. And what we found now, a significant part of the business life is tied to it as well. These 2 examples illustrate the importance of ensuring that our digital infrastructure is resilient, reliable, and above all else, secure. Given the interconnectedness of today's digital environment, this is an issue that transcends national boundaries. And the example really gives you a feel for that. From a Caribbean perspective, it is a regional imperative that our mainly small island developing states always remain connected, not just to each other, but to everywhere else. This requires a coordinated response from all of us as it resonates given the commitment of our region to establish a CARICOM single ICT space. Our vision is of an ICT-enabled space that transcends boundaries and provides an enabling environment that fosters the development of the digital society and economy. It also requires a regional platform that facilitates interoperability between governments and CARICOM member states, and CARICOM and other member states. The various components of the digital CARICOM space include some critical and in many cases quite familiar issues, several of which can be explored in depth during our executive sessions that we're having here. But I'll just name a few that we probably should look at. The harmonization of digital policy, legislation, and regulation, the adoption of common technical standards across CARICOM, and the rollout of digital service and solutions at a regional level. The potential impact of digital transformation through the CARICOM digital space as an enabler for Caribbean integration cannot be understated, as it will, among other things, enable the free movement of persons within CARICOM through the digitization of processes and the application of regional e-identities, encourage digital entrepreneurs and innovators, facilitate the sharing of information between governments, the private sector, civil society, and academia, of course, through the establishment of regional networks. A good example of this is the Bella initiative currently being implemented in partnership with the European Union. The implications for, of ongoing trends and developments in digital technology are very far-reaching, and their potential impact so significant that we can, in a sense, anticipate that Caribbean digital transformation enabling Caribbean digital integration. A regional response to the need for Caribbean-wide connectivity has been in the works for some time. The most obvious example of this being the really excellent work being done by Rodney and at the CTU, in the establishment of exchange points, having new DNS servers for all over the place. We have a lot of things that are happening at the regional level, and of course, the successes that have happened in terms of the work that was done with roaming. So there are a number of things that if we combine as a region, we can really get and accomplish things that redound to the benefit of all the states. We're still very much in the process of addressing the content part of the communication equation. And this, of course, will be one of the key topics over which we will brainstorm over the next 2 days. We'll examine the importance of data sovereignty, the need for in-region hosting of data to mitigate risk and promote resilience in the delivery of CARICOM-wide services. We do all that, of course, as we evaluate the business case for the establishment of data repositories in some member states. We have a lot of that we're going to discuss because there's a lot of activity happening in that space. An option for us as a region, of course, is to establish data centers in strategic locations around the Caribbean as repositories for the critical data of CARICOM member states, and we've seen where the value of that can be. The power of digital allows us to consider the emergence of a borderless Caribbean identity, in which seamless Caribbean experience will bring together the extensive Caribbean diaspora and the many admirers and champions and consumers of Caribbean culture. And it's something that every time I think about it, the limits for it, there are no limits to it. It's a boundless space. A third illustration of the emerging digital integration space, of course, is the business decisions that we as CARICOM will need to make on key digital transformation issues and the resulting implications for the CSME. And we're talking here about, for example, 6 gig spectrum. Yeah, we're going to have to, make our influence felt on that when we get to the International Telecommunication Union World Radio Communications Conference, and that's going to be held in Dubai at the end of the year. You know of the 2 main schools of thought that they have. That 6 gig band should be split and part allocated for mobile, the rest for Wi-Fi. And then, of course, the other view is that given the explosion of Wi-Fi, they should put all of it there. Where do we stand? What do we do? What should we do? That is a conversation we need to have. The direction that CARICOM member states take, for example, on this 6 gigahertz spectrum issue, is a significant business decision with much wider implications for the region. As a matter of fact, I'm sure we'll get to some of that as we deal with what we're doing here, and obviously Rodney will deal with it at the CTU and so on in the coming days. In conclusion, the road towards digital integration of the Caribbean will require us to communicate with each other at all times. It will require collaboration, close partnership, and close partnership with development partners, such as we are doing here now with the CTU, the IDB, the ITU, all Caribbean stakeholders in government, private sector, civil society, and I keep mentioning academia. The key opportunity will be the creation of collaborative mechanisms and initiatives that will allow us to do a few things. But one of them would be, of course, sharing our success stories and lessons learned, whereby member states that have experienced success in one area can assist members wishing to follow a similar path, and I'm sure we have a lot of that here. Also, we can identify opportunities for collaboration and the development of synergies between regional governments and the private sector, especially SME startups and emerging entrepreneurs, and we'll speak to that as well. So as we meet over the next day and a half, it is important to remain focused on the need to move from talk to action, from idea to product, to continue the transition from sovereign silos to regional interconnection and digital integration. I'll say that again. To transition from sovereign silos to regional integration, interconnection, and digital integration. It is my ardent hope that as we use the time wisely, we resist the undeniable desire to focus on our own individual successes of the past. To use the words of the visionary Martin Luther King, let us be cognizant of, and this is the piece of it, the fierce urgency of now. We're at a critical time a critical juncture in our development, so let us together identify our pressing needs, a pathway to implementation, and create an actionable roadmap to the future. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you very much to the Minister of Digital Transformation, Senator the Honourable Hassel Bacchus. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we started well underway with our agenda, this brings us to the end of what is listed as the welcome and introductions for the morning and our opening address. We take this opportunity to thank members of the media who were present with us for this segment of the program. They'll be joining us at another time during the proceedings for another occasion of good coverage. So we pause just for a moment to facilitate their departure. And as members of the media take their leave of this room for this portion of the agenda, permit me to just share a few items for your good connectivity. The space that you should be occupying virtually is at hubilo.com. That's HUBILO.com. And I'm sure you've received it as part of your briefing pack and your portfolio when arriving, but that facilitates all levels of awareness of the agenda, participants, as well as platforms for ongoing communication. So should you have questions or points or areas or remarks or views or contributions that you wish to make during the entire segment of our conference at any stage, you are more than welcome, having registered, to use hubilo.com, which will continue to be the virtual space of monitoring and facilitate engagement over the next 48 hours and continuing thereafter. Should you need any assistance with connectivity, please let us know, and we will be more than willing to facilitate and ensure that you are engaged. This workshop and the objectives of the workshop are really intended to facilitate a comprehensive understanding among executives of cross-border challenges and opportunities to advance digital transformation in the Caribbean.